Before I start, I want to give all honors and glories and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Baha, Chodash, Yahweh, which is the one true name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one true name is Yahweh Shai. Giving double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, because those are the men who I learned this truth from through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shai. Peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect. And shalom to you, sincere brothers scattered abroad, pushing forth this word in truth and sincerity. I am the brother Mashiach Arazakah from the Servants of Yahweh Yahweh Shai Camp, Las Vegas, Nevada branch. And pretty much we're going to break down Acts 2 and 14. Because you have a lot of Christians, wacky-tacky Christians, they'll use Acts 10 and 14 to say that they're allowed to eat, pig, they're allowed to eat unclean foods due to Acts 10 and 14, which Acts 10 and 14 is not talking about eating unclean foods. This is a big misconception from a lot of individuals because they don't understand what is being said in Acts 10 and 14, because Peter had a vision and they believe that Peter's vision, that the Lord was telling him that he's allowed to eat unclean foods, and that's not what this precept was talking about. All right, and we're going to break this down and understand what was this chapter, this whole chapter actually talking about. So we're just going to break it down we're going to start at verse 1, and then we're going to go down to verse, I'll say 28, all right? 28. And Lord willing, that's edifying, because you got to understand that, Acts 10 and 14 is not talking about food. It was talking about Cornelius. So Lord willing, that's edifying. This is Acts 10 and 1. It says, there was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius. Now, Cornelius, he was an Israelite. But you got other Israelite groups out there that teach that he was an Edomite, which that is totally wrong. Cornelius was an Israelite. You had Israelites that was a part of the Roman army. Just like today, you got Israelites that's a part of the military. The military is pretty much the modern day Roman army. You got the Marines, right? You got the Air Force, you got the Army, you got the Coast Guards, right? You got the National Guards. We can go all day. You got the Marines, right? The Navy. You got all these military branches, which they're all a part of the modern day Roman army today. Because today, this is modern day Rome. America is modern day Rome. Ancient Rome did fall, but Rome was rebuilt here again in America. So let's get back to this. Acts 10 and 1. It says, there was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band. So again, Cornelius was a part of that Italian band, but he was an Israelite. Yes, he was of that Italian band, but he was an Israelite. He was an Israelite. Verse 2, because you got people that read that. See, he was a part of Italian band. Yeah, he was a part of Italian band, but he's an Israelite though. Verse 2, it says a devout man. All right, it says Cornelius was a devout man. What men are devout? Let's see if he was a heathen. Let's see what the scripture is talking about. This is Acts 2 and 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men. So the only men that are devout are Israelites. Let's go into the meaning of that word devout. Right? When you go into the Greek word of devout.
Strong's G 2126. Eulabase. Eulabase.
Taking hold well, carefully and surely, cautiously, right? Reverencing the Most High, right? Pious, religious, devout 3 times. So don't give us the actual meaning. So now we're going to go back and we're going to go and get the meaning for devout. Go to Google real quick. It's always good to edify. Let's get the meaning for devout.
Devout.
having or showing deep religious feeling or commitment. Let's look at other similarities, right? It says
devout,
it says religious, devoted, dedicated, reverent, God-fearing, believing, spiritual, prayerful, holy, godly, right?
godly,
Devoutedly religious, pious. So that word devout, it means godly. And what men are godly? What men are godly? And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, Jews, Israelites. All right. So those men that are godly, right, are Jews. Only godly men are Israelites, Jews, Israelites, right? So Cornelius, he was a devout man. He was a godly man. He was an Israelite. It says, and there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven, right? Because the Israelites were scattered. All right, we were scattered abroad. So the men that are devout are Israelites. And Cornelius was an Israelite, a devout man and one that feared Yahweh with all his house, right? Which gave much alms to the people and prayed to Yahweh always, right? Verse 3, he saw in a vision. Now Cornelius had a vision, all right? An angel's going to appear unto him and he's going to have a vision, right? He's going to have a vision. It says, and he saw in a vision evidently about the 9th hour of the day an angel of Yahweh, see, coming into him and saying unto him, Cornelius. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, what is it, Lord? And he said unto him, thy prayers and thine alms are come up from a memorial before Yahweh. This is what the angel said unto Cornelius. Cornelius was an Israelite. He was not a heathen. Verse 5, and now send men to Joppa. Joppa is an ancient city. It's a city. It's a city called Joppa. All right, let's validate that for those of you out there. You know, it's always good to bring it out. See, Joppa, the city of Joppa. Joppa is a city, an ancient city. All right, here you go right here. This is Joppa. All right, or Joppa if I'm saying it right. It's an ancient city. I just wanted to validate that. It's an ancient city. It says Joppa in Hebrew as Yaffo, in the Arabic Jaffa, and also called Jaffa or Joppa, is a ancient Levantine port city founded by the Canaanites. This, it says, that is now part of South Tel Aviv, Israel. So Joppa is an ancient city. All right, it's still there, but it's a city. It says, and now send men to Joppa, right, and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. And this is what the angel said unto Cornelius in his vision. Cornelius had a vision. He was an Israelite. And it told him to send 2 men to Joppa to search out Simon, who's Peter. Verse 6, and lodge with one, it says, Simon, a tanner, whose house is by the seaside. He shall tell thee what thou oughtest to do. Verse 7, and when the angel which spake unto Cornelius was departed, he called 2 of his household servants, and both of those household servants that he called, they were Israelites, because it goes into them being devout. They were Israelites. Yes, Cornelius was an Israelite, and he had servants under him that were Israelites. They were soldiers, but they were Israelites as well. It says, and when the angel which spake unto Cornelius was departed, he called 2 of his household servants, and a devout soldier of them that waited on him. Continue. They were Israelites. Verse 8, and when he had declared all these things unto him, he sent them to Joppa. So they went to the city of Joppa. 2 of his servants, which were devout, they were Israelites. They went to search out for Simon. They did as what Cornelius told them. Verse 9, and on the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew nigh unto the city of Joppa, Peter went up upon the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. Now, this is where, these wacky-tacky Christians start fumbling the football. This is when they start messing up because they're not understanding something. Let's read it. This is when they start messing up. Verse 10, and he became very hungry and would have eaten. But while they made ready, he fell into a trance. He fell into a trance. He fell into a trance. A trance is a vision, a dream. Because the only way the Lord can appear to you is in a dream or a vision. He gives you visions, right? He fell into a trance, which is a vision, right? It says, verse 11, and saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the 4 corners, and I let down the earth. Verse 12, wherein were all manner of 4-footed beasts. And this is where they start messing up. Because Peter couldn't understand the vision. He was given the vision. He was given this vision, but he was trying to figure out what it was. He couldn't understand this vision. So if you can't understand the vision, why would he be talking about eating unclean foods when he didn't even understand the vision that he had? He fell into a trance, a dream, a vision, right? This is the point. This is where they start messing up. Verse 12, wherein with all manner of 4-foot beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. Verse 13, and there came a voice unto him, rise, Peter, kill and eat. This is when they start messing up. Verse 14, but Peter said, not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. Peter didn't understand the vision that he had. He saw the vision of the beasts, right, of the fowls of the air. He had a vision. He didn't understand his vision. He couldn't figure it out what the Lord was trying to tell him. Why would he say, I'm eating unclean foods here? He was trying to figure out his vision. Verse 15, and the voice spake unto him again the second time. See, the second time. It says, what power have cleansed that called not thou common? See? Verse 16, this was done thrice, meaning 3 times. And the vessel was received up again into heaven. Now listen, he had this vision. He couldn't understand his vision, right? Verse 17, now while Peter doubted, because he always was doubtful. He always had doubts in his mind time to time. It says now while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean. He didn't understand his vision. So when he saw that, he was trying to figure out what was that vision meaning? What was it meaning? He wasn't just actually saying, oh, I don't eat unclean foods. I can eat unclean foods. That's not what he was talking about. He had a vision of a beast and a fowl. It was a vision. And he couldn't understand what it was that the Lord was trying to tell him. In that vision, he couldn't figure out what the dream was that he had, the vision that he had. Verse 17, now while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius, right, the 2 devout men, the 2 soldiers which were devout, they were Israelites. They came looking for him. And he saw the men that were looking for him. Behold, men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house, and stood before the gate, and called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Peter, was lodged there. Was he there? And he was there. Verse 19, while Peter thought on the vision, see, because Peter was still trying to figure out the vision. He's like, what is this vision I had? I don't understand it. I see foul beasts. I see fowls of the air, and I see beasts. What is this meaning? What is this vision meaning? She was trying to figure it out. Like, what is it that the Lord is trying to reveal to me? What is this vision? I don't understand it. He was trying to figure out the vision. He couldn't figure out what the vision was telling him, what it was meaning. Verse 19, while Peter thought on the vision, the Spirit said unto him, behold, 3 men seek thee. So it was 3 men. It was three soldiers looking for him. Three devout men looking for him. Right? Those were Israelites. They were soldiers. They were Israelites. Verse 20, it says, arise therefore and the gate thee down and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them. See? So the Lord was telling him that he sent through the Spirit 3 men, 3 devout men, which were Israelite men, looking for him, and they were under Cornelius. Verse 21, then Peter went down to the men which were sent unto him from Cornelius. So remember verse 14, all right? Remember this right here. But Peter said, not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or clean. Remember this precept right here. because still remember this. What is this talking about? And it's gonna reveal to you in verse 28 what it was talking about. Verse 21. Then Peter went down to the men which were sent unto him from Cornelius, right? Because the angel gave Cornelius had a vision, and the angel came onto him and told him the instructions on what to do, and he followed those instructions, right? The three men, the soldiers, the devout men, and said, Behold, I am he whom ye seek. What is the cause wherefore ye are come? Verse 22. And they said, Cornelius, the centurion, right? A just man who was an Israelite and one that feared Yahweh. Because only men that fear the Lord is Israelites. The heathen nations isn't going to fear the Lord. They fear the Lord, but they're not going to be devout. No heathen nation is devout. Only the Israelites are. Verse 22. They said, Cornelius, the centurion, a just man and one that feared Yahweh, and of good report among all the nation of the Jews, of the Israelites, right? It says, was warned from Yahweh by an holy angel to send for thee into his house. Let's read that again. Verse 22. And they said, Cornelius the centurion, a just man who was an Israelite, and one that feared Yahweh, and of good report among all the nation of the Jews, was warned from Yahweh by an holy angel to send for thee into his house, and to hear words of thee. Those were all Israelites. Those are Israelites there. Those are Israelites which it was speaking of. Right? Among all nation of the Jews, the Israelites. Verse 23. It says, Then called he them in and lodged them. Right? And on the morrow, Peter went away with them. It says, and certain brethren from Joppa, what's that word? Salakia. Occupied him. And that's the word to say. I couldn't pronounce it right. But let's get the meaning for that, right? Occupying, to come together, to assemble, right? Of conjugal cohabitation, to go depart or come with one. All right, accompanied, Salakia, accompanied him, right? They went with him. Salakia, verse 24. And the morrow after they entered into Caesarea, and Cornelius waited for them, right? Cornelius waited for them to come, return back with Peter, and had called together his kinsmen and near friends. And his kinsmen were Israelites. Those who the kinsmen were, they were Israelites, right? Verse 25. And as Peter was coming in, Cornelius met him. So Cornelius saw Peter and fell down at his feet and worshiped him. He fell at his feet and worshiped him. And this is what Peter said unto him. Verse 26. But Peter took him up, saying, Stand up. I myself also am a man. Letting them know, hey man, I'm just a man in clay. Just like how the elders, apostles, and brothers of Great Millstone are. They don't like that. They don't like people worshiping them. You know, that's just a perfect example. That's how we know they're the men of the Lord too. Because they don't like all that. Peter is the same way. He didn't like that. They didn't like that. People worshiping them and all that. They just, hey man, he's just a man in clay. Like Big Bro Howard Shai Zion always say, man, I'm just a man in clay. We're just people of clay. Verse 26. But Peter took him up, saying, Stand up. I myself also am a man. Just letting them know, like, hey man, I'm not a god, man. I'm just a man in clay, man. The Lord is using me as his vessel, man. You know, I'm not this high and mighty guy, man. Don't worship me. You know, that's basically what he was telling Cornelius. Verse 27. And as he talked with him, he went in and found many that were come together. Now listen to this. Remember this right here? Verse 14. But Peter said, Not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. What was he talking about? Verse 28 is going to tell us. And he said unto them, Ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation. But Yahweh have showed me, Yahweh Bashimashai have showed me that I should not call any man common or clean. It was talking about Cornelius. That's what it was talking about. It was talking about Cornelius. So this that he said, I have not eaten anything common or clean, it was meaning Cornelius. It was talking about Cornelius. It was not talking about eating actual foods. It was talking about Cornelius. Acts 10:28. And he said unto them, ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation. But it says, Yahweh Bashimashai have showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. This was talking about Cornelius. That's what it was talking about. It was talking about actual food. It was talking about Cornelius. All right? It was talking about Cornelius. And let's read it. This is verse this is verse 29. I'll start at 28 again. Salakia. I'm just trying to catch up where I was at. Salakia. Had a empty brain for a minute. Acts 10:28. And it says, and he answered unto them, ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another man, but Yahweh Bashimashai have showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. So this was talking about Cornelius. All right. This was talking about Cornelius. Therefore came I unto you without gainsaying. As soon as I was sent for, I asked therefore for what intent ye have sent for me. So Peter wanted to know what was going on. That's pretty much because Peter didn't know what was going on. He didn't even understand his vision that he had. So how was he talking about unclean foods? How was it talking about you were allowed to eat? That's talking about Peter eating unclean foods. When Peter didn't even understand the vision that he had. He was trying to figure it out. He didn't even know what was going on. He did not know what was going on. And it says, and Cornelius said, 4 days ago, I was fasting until this hour. And at the 9th hour, I prayed in my house. And it says, and behold, a man stood before me in bright clothing. That was the angel that came onto him and told him what was going on. Cornelius was fasting, and the angel appeared on him and told him to go do these things. So wait, if you keep reading down, it's all talking about Peter, Simon, and Peter and Cornelius. All right? It's talking about him meeting him, etc. So when you read Acts 10:14, this was talking about Cornelius. It wasn't talking about actual foods. So wait, man, I just wanted to do a lesson on this because, you still got these wacky-tacky Christians pushing the doctrine of Acts 10:14 as it's acceptable to eat unclean animals, which that was not talking about that. It was talking about Cornelius. We read that in verse 28. So, hey, Lord willing, this is edifying. I want to give all honors and glories and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahawashi, Bahashem Yahweh Kakodash. And Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all honors and glories and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh, Bahashem Kakodash, Bakadah. Shalom to you sincere brothers. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Till next time I say shalom and shalom.